Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're checking out the KingKong 210 GT. This is a desk review. Bottom plate measures 2.8 millimeters. Top plate measures 1.38. Rear arm is really thick, over 30 millimeters. Front arms are 30 millimeters. It comes with an F3 flight controller running Clean Flight 1.12. KingKong 2205 2300 kV motors. It has motor protection, 20 amp BL Heli ESCs, 700 TV line CCD camera with 115 degree field of view, and very little maximum camera angle. 600 milliwatt VTX with the circular polarized antenna. It has LED lights. It does not have a buzzer. Also comes with the FlySky FSI6 remote. Infinity 1300 milliamp battery. It's 3S. It weighs 338 grams. The included battery is 112 grams. You also get 20 50/40 props. An FTDI adapter to flash your ESCs. A bind plug, low voltage alarm, and a B3 charger for your batteries. This one's running Clean Flight 1.12, and now that Clean Flight 2 has come out, we are going to have to run two different versions on our computers to be able to update PIDs, various settings for machines like this versus machines that are running Clean Flight 2. Painless Les over at Painless 360, he's got a great video on it. You should walk through that and get that set up on your machine, especially if you have one of these, because again, it is running Clean Flight 1.12. A couple things to note. While they've mounted these antennas very cleanly, this is very much less than ideal. Typically we'd want one pointing up and one out the back. You kind of want a 90-degree angle between your antennas. So one coming up and one out the back. That would have been great. And I do think we can take these and reorientate them. We can cut these zip ties, run this to where it does point out the back, and then zip tie it down, and then we can also run a zip tie through here and point it up, and that would probably be maximum. You may not find you need to do that, but if you do find you have range issues, if you do want to fly out a long ways away from yourself, that would be something I would suggest. To get the maximum camera angle that I showed in the video, I had to move these wires out, and that's really all you're going to get. That to me looks maybe 15 to 20%, so not a lot of camera angle there. So in order to get more, we're going to need to take a popsicle stick or a piece of wood or something to put it underneath and get that camera angle to where we can dip the backside of the camera down more. And that's kind of not unusual for these particular quads. Kind of an older design, and then you've got a bulky rear part of the camera, and it doesn't allow it to move back down much. We've got plenty of extras in the kit, which also includes an Allen key, so you can tighten this nut down if you want to change the camera angle and then you want to lock it in place. The motor protectors, I'm not crazy about these because when it comes to breaking props, these motor protectors, if your props go down tight or if your nuts get too tight, they actually keep you from getting a good grip on the motor. So you end up going in, normally you go in like this, but you can't really do that because the outside is protected, so you're going to have to kind of squeeze it from the outsides, because of course you're going to have a prop running somewhere through here and then spinning your spinners out. Typically also with a frame like this you would get camera mounts that would have side plates. That is not part of this frame, so you shouldn't mistake it or think that it's in the kit. One other thing that I did in order just to get the antenna off is I cut that grommet pretty much all the way out. You can see I kind of hacked it up. With the grommet with the grommet the way it was, I couldn't get this antenna on there even threaded, nor did I think that the nipple for the actual antenna was actually getting down in there. Of course, we don't get our antenna down in there. We power it on. We fry our VTX. It may take 1 second, it may take 10 seconds. I don't have any experience frying VTXs in that way. I've shorted a few, but I haven't fried them from an antenna, so I cut that completely out. And they do have another version of this, which I would recommend, and I'll link that in the description down below, where the antenna actually comes out the back. And then you could just take, because it holds shape, if the antenna came out the back, then you can just bend it up. And that's kind of what you see most people doing, because that will actually decrease the amount of damage you might get. With this one, if you happen to do what they call on flight test a butt bomb, where you come down backwards and you hit hard and your battery slides out, it could end up taking this SMA out and damaging your battery all in one fell swoop. But you have to have your antenna somewhere. I would suggest if you're going to pick one up, pick up the version that has the antenna sticking straight out the back, and then you can just bend the antenna up. This instruction manual kind of deserves its own little look, but I'm surprised at the detail. It tells you about both models. It gives you some additional information, the different flight controllers that might come with it, It tells you a little bit about clean flight and what you need to do to flash. So pretty thorough, and it gives us this, and that's why I wanted to stop here, is it talks about SWB and SWC, indicating these two switches here. Let me scoot this back a bit. That this would be your arm and this would be your flight mode. So 2-position switch here and 3-position switch here. And I didn't find that to be the case. I found that this is disarmed is up and armed is down. And then these are our flight modes. So we've got angle mode, and then we've got air mode. So we're just in air mode with the rate mode, so no self-leveling. And then down at the bottom is just, so we've got disarm, arm, angle, air mode, no self-leveling, rate, or acro mode. So no self-leveling on this bottom switch. And that's different than what we see printed in the manual. This is a standard FSI6, so you can take this radio and you can grow with it. You can add more models to this. I think it's 5 that you can add up to this. There might be more than you can do that, but at least 5 that I'm aware of. Also, you can customize it. You can get into the menu. You can change the channel. Say you do want this switch to be your arm and disarm. You can go through the channel setup and switch it over to SWB for arming and disarming. The instruction sheet also talks about, see, this is the one I'd mentioned a little bit earlier, how the antenna comes straight out the back. That's the one I would actually recommend. That'll protect your VTX a lot better. And then we can just bend this up. Something else that I missed earlier is they say this camera also mounts like that. But in order to do that, you're still going to have to screw in from the bottom. You can see the holes here, hopefully in the top, to where you can put your camera mount upside down here. So you're going to need to remove your top plate altogether, and then remove the screws from the bottom for our camera mount. Put that camera up here, and then screw from this side out in order to secure that into the frame. So even though in my pre-cut steps I talk about the camera angle, you should be able to get more camera angle by putting it in this way. It gives some specifications about the camera, the VTX channel mapping. For both VTXs, this is the one I have over here, the 600 milliwatt. It's not switchable. It talks about the plugs, SMA, and which ones you have. There's no OSD on this. And then we get into flashing the ESCs, which is pretty surprising. I don't know if I've ever seen that in a instruction sheet before. Additional information. Got expanded view. It's really a thorough, and then it even gives you some parts, so if you don't know the names of stuff, you can order. So as far as the instruction manual goes, how they've set everything up, the parts they've included for this quad, I think they've done a nice job for putting together something for about 250 bucks that you can get started in flying, and then you add some goggles, like I mentioned earlier, for 50 bucks or thereabouts, and you're fully ready to FPV. And, you know, if you want to start out with your camera angle that's pretty tepid, that's fine, you know, get started. However, whatever you feel comfortable. Have fun, enjoy your time in the air, and we've got plenty of props when you can't stay in the air. We're supposed to be putting our battery strap right through there, but I think we're going to have to take the battery top plate loose because it is so tight in here with the receiver. That strap's not going through there. Unless you're running the battery strap around the whole thing, that is a possibility, but this is designed to run our battery strap through it. At least past designs of this frame have been that way. The only part I wish that we would have had is there's no point in having this flight controller inside the case. I guess in some practices it does give you a little extra protection. If you take that out of the case, then it's mounted right here where you see this little platform, and then we've got some extra space in here, and we could probably get our battery strap through the top plate then. But you may want to go all the way around. Let's get this battery strap out and take a look. Okay, here's the battery strap, but I can tell you right off the bat, it's not going all the way around. Not and holding your battery. It barely goes around the machine itself. So that is definitely going to have to be either replaced or you're going to need to go through here. Now, that's not to say it's not doable. I prefer a battery strap with a buckle at the end. Actually prefer the ones with the metal buckle at the end, but those are actually kind of hard to find. So we're going to need to loosen the top plate, run our battery strap through there, and then re-secure the top plate down, making sure you have your battery strap where you want it so that it will close over the top of your battery. And I think with this also, you're not going to be able to run a very big 4S battery. I would be surprised actually if this one works with 4S at all, even if you're just running another 1300 if you're running a 4S. I think you're going to need a bigger battery strap. But again, this strap comes with this battery and this vehicle, so maybe they're designed just to fit perfectly. Let's plug in the battery and take a look at the LEDs and see what they look like. I'm just going to leave it here on the desk. I'll reach around, plug it in. there you go. Wow. That sucker is bright. I don't think that's going to come through video, but it actually hurts my eyes a bit to look at that. So you're going to be able to see that, I suspect. Outside of strong daylight, full bright sun, I think you're going to see this. I do think it's pretty neatly made. I don't think I see anything where they've stripped out any of the screws or anything of that nature. The zip ties are all fairly well done. They're seared off nice and easy. We've got these rubber meats down here where we can land on them because our battery will be up here. I do think the 600 milliwatt, they need some extra options for other countries because some people won't want to run that. They'll want to run 25. So that's something to consider. You may have to swap this out if you're looking to stay legal in your country. I think this unit is very durable. I think it's very rugged. You know, it comes with a FlySky, which is typically a good radio. There's nothing to really qualms about it. Some people don't like the way it feels in their hands, but I think this kit is really designed at someone who wants to learn to fly. And I think it's listed around $250. So you get a quad with a CCD camera, an F3 flight controller, ready to fly. All you have to do is grab your radio. If you want an FPV, you have to get some goggles, which I think you can get the, what is it, the Furry Bee F1s or something like that. They're like $49. It might even be cheaper now. They give you a host of props that you can crash with and get your experience. So I think it's a pretty good, decent kit. It's not going to be a speed demon. It's not going to win you any races, but it's going to be durable, I suspect, and it's also going to be something that you're going to be able to grow with in your flying skills. This is just part one, kind of a desk overview. Unfortunately, I've been getting so much rain. I've actually had this quad for 4 or 5 weeks, and I know GearBest probably isn't happy with me. I have had it in a little bit of a hover test. It did just fine, but I didn't have the time to actually go to a big field so I could stretch its legs at all. And that will be coming up in the second part. So unfortunately, this will be a two-parter. This is part one. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the section down below. And thanks for watching.